We got to talk about Siran Neal. And if you don't know by now, he got extended 3 years, $10.9 million, which sounds like a lot, but we don't really know what that actually means, right? We always see people get signed like, oh my God, this guy got $25 million a year, but does he actually get all 25 million of that? Probably not. I would go ahead and say that there's got to be a lot of incentives. If you're like an injury prone player such as Carson Wentz or Matt Milano, there's not saying Matt Milano is like the worst injury prone person, but he's been known to miss some time on the field. But you'll probably see something in their contracts, and I'll stop real quick. I am no expert with contracts. I don't know how they do that, so I could be completely wrong. So let me continue with that note. That there's probably something in their contract where it's like, all right, you got to play for X amount of percent for the entire season or X amount of snaps, or you got to hit this crazy, unlikely incentive in order to fully reach the max potential of that contract. I suspect that there's probably, something in there with Siran Neal's contract. And even if it's not, I don't think it's completely outrageous that he got this contract because he's really good on special teams. And not to mention, he can fill in on defense when we need him. And I'm going to go back to the first Kansas City Chiefs game of this year when he was gunning on a play and there were three Chiefs players lined up against him. Like you think having one person on Siran Neal is like, okay, that's pretty good. Two people, okay, but you got to send three people on this guy. That means you're doing something right, and I'm all about it. And then referencing later in that game, I believe it was the same game. There was a moment where we were without Matt Milano, and he was on defense playing against guarding Travis Kelce, which is great because he can fill in when stuff like this happens. Justin, I know I hogged the mic a decent amount of time when it came to Siran Neal, but I'm just really excited that he's back and our special teams, although we're going to be out without Heath Farwell, and now we got Matthew Smiley, that our special teams ace is coming back.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there with the contract. The first look at it, the number's a little high for me. But then all the things you kind of got into, like what kind of playing time bonuses are there, and we won't really know those contract details for a while. I'm sure there's something built in of like if you play X amount of snaps on defense, and then you kind of try to avoid those things, and if he hits them, he hits them. But I think this is kind of for me the investment into the future of the special teams, and this regime has been known for focusing on special teams, and some of the players that are and were our special teams aces, they're commanding decent contracts. And you think of a guy, Tyler Medikevich, Tywan Jones, people that we weren't afraid to pay just to play special teams, and with a couple of those guys getting a little bit older. Whether or not they're going to be around in the next few years, I think Siran Neal is kind of that step towards the future of, okay, this is going to be our centerpiece special teams guy. If we lose some of those other pieces, we're going to fill in the positions around that. So overall, I love the move. I don't want to see him out there on full-time defensive snaps. I don't think he's
But he
really
could do it.
He could. I don't think he's fully developed into that, top caliber starting player. But for spot duty and filling in some sub packages, he's kind of like the who was that cornerback that we brought in from Carolina?
Daryl Worley?
Captain.
I don't know. Oh no, he was on Dallas's practice squad. Oh, Captain.
Yeah, Captain.
Yeah, I forgot his last name's escaping me, but Captain, my captain.
Yeah. So I look at Siran Neal to kind of take over that kind of like flex position and still mostly focus on special teams. And special teams is important for what this team does. So I like the re-signing.
Yeah, and you mentioned some other special team aces that are currently on the Bills, such as Taiwan Jones, although he is a free agent, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and then Tyler Medikevich, amongst other, other special team aces that we have. But those three really kind of stand out to me outside of the five other linebackers that we roster for that reason. But I will say that I'm just going to talk briefly about these two. Tyler Medikevich, I'm pretty sure we can free up some money by releasing him. So I don't know if this move necessarily forecasts that possibility, but only from where I'm sitting, it makes it more likely to happen now for fiscal reasons and because yeah, like we got our guy here, so he's younger, he's faster. I don't know. I love Tyler Medikevich, but he doesn't really bring anything on defense, specifically on defense. Brings a lot to the table, just like Siran Neal on special teams, but not so much on defense. And then Taiwan Jones, God, I love this dude. It doesn't matter. He's probably the only person that I've seen on the Buffalo Bills injury report with a hamstring on a week-to-week basis, and they still go like, all right, get out there. Then he's like, all right, I can do it. He's the only person I know that in this entire Sean McDermott regime that I've seen, and correct me if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments down below if I'm missing someone, but I swear this guy is literally the only person I've seen on the injury report with a hamstring and has been consistently put out there week to week. So,
yeah, Taiwan Jones for me, I don't remember who the opponent was, but I remember there was a game where his helmet came off.
Chargers.
He's bleeding from the face, and he's just like still playing. After that game, as long as Taiwan Jones wants to play football and we can keep him on a reasonable contract, he can stay with the Bills as long as he wants to, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I was at that game. I'm pretty sure that was Josh Allen's first start, if I'm not mistaken. But I remember looking up at the photos afterwards, and I was like, oh my God. Like,
he kept playing.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Even after getting cracked, I was like, oh my God.